Shoot. Gotta get going. Gotta get out of here in a hurry.
At last, Matt, I finally... Where is he?
I don't know, Master, but it would appear he's not here.
Those power sources are on like he's here. Go find him. You will check the basement and the attic. I'll check this floor and the bottom floor. No complaints.
But boss, why do I have to go by the spires? Boss!
Megazord, anyone over there?
No, there are currently no life forms in this room.
No life forms in the room?
Affirmative.
Good. Seal it off, and I'm going to start the feed.
As you command.
A little bit more. There we go. Hello, everyone. Yeah, not in the room this week. To be honest, I think Malice is pissed off for me killing yet another Super Shade last week, so temporarily in hiding. We're also trying to hide the fact of where I'm trying to feed this from, so that way he doesn't come bothering us here either. So, as you all know, I'm Matt.
And I'm Mike Cyrus.
And this week we're going to review for you a classic from Vincent Price, known as Abominable Dr. Phibes. So, I think we should probably talk about the plot really quick. It's kind of paper thin, to be honest. A lot of the movie is filled up with people running about trying to do things for the what little plot there is, and also the villains just having fun. To be honest, the main characters are actually the villains in this film, and they're absolutely fun to watch, even if it is a little bit silly at times. Our main villain, Dr. Phibes, is played by Vincent Price, who is having it up every time he gets on screen, even though he can't speak the entire film, and his actual voice was dubbed in later. He also has this female assistant whom he only calls by name once, so I don't really count that as a character with a name. She's just the female assistant. Which then brings us to the quote-unquote heroes.
Strange business, Tom.
Yeah, Detective Trout.
Well, tried to be confident, but it didn't really seem like everything he tried to do was not that great.
Yeah, he seems kind of inept.
He's like Inspector Clouseau.
Oh fuck, Inspector Clouseau. Barney Fife was better detective than this guy.
Yeah, he didn't get knocked out either.
The main belly of the plot is that Dr. Phibes was supposed to have died in a car crash. Most likely it was not him, but actually a chauffeur. Years later, and much planning, he has found a way to make his own voice come out of phonographs, while also planning to take revenge on the doctors who he believes murdered his wife.
Well, it's not really their fault that she died.
It's not really their fault that she died.
But then again, since said he gave up on the medical profession and such like that.
Vibes himself doesn't really give up on the medical profession, but he
just
does not believe that these people did the best they could.
Probably, maybe possibly probably did. I don't really, what do you say the disease was that she had?
I don't know, they just came up with some random disease that they needed to treat. He does believe that, at the very least, he does believe that these people are to be held responsible, if nothing else. And that most of them will be tested by his plans for using the biblical curses. To which we can honestly say, those that seem, morally corrupt, you might say, all these doctors and the one nurse, it seems like the more pushy and morally corrupt ones end up being off, while the one decent doctor manages to get by unscathed. To which I would say that's a fairly accurate hit and run kind of method for exacting revenge. To be honest, the one person that deserves the most chance at trying to save his life, as well as the life of a significant other, manages to pull it off, and he is probably the most responsible of all the people there. So, down to the actual characters themselves. Dr. Vibes, despite his dilemma of angst and wanted revenge, seems like a rather fun guy. I mean, he's got robots all over the place, he's got, an organ that he uses to go see his wife and come back from seeing his wife. Also, he's got a little makeup center to make up his face.
Guess maybe he was probably a decent person when he was alive, or however they put it.
Yeah, they don't really say what on earth Dr. Vibes is in this movie. He seems like he might be undead of some kind, but he does have blood coursing through his veins. He does have the scars from the crash. So he's not dead, but to be honest, when you see his real face, he's not exactly a normal human anymore either.
Because when the acid reaches him, he will have a face like
mine. His main aide, the silent woman, she seems very interesting, but she's also very quiet. I think the only time she ever spoke out during the entirety of the movie was when she screamed when hit with acid.
Yes.
Otherwise, she has some very, 70s clothing.
Yeah, she's basically a Lady Gaga of the 70s.
Actually kind of hits it right on the money there, only she's quiet. As for our quote-unquote heroes, well, we got the one doctor who does survive the movie.
But
he seems very quiet and
one.
antisocial at the beginning when
Just
Trout first
one
shows up.
case.
Well, after he finally opens up, he does seem to
Where
be
I
a rather
worked with
decent
all
guy, and he also very quickly figures out what's going on, because he's like the first one to point fingers at Vibes. Because he's like, well, here's the one and only time all of us worked together on one person, and that was Vibes' wife. As for the main antagonist, Detective Trout, more like a cold salmon if you ask me. Again, this man is so inept at his job, it's actually quite funny most of the time. Not to mention his useless bosses, who don't see the pattern going on here. It's a long after Trout's already going, guys, there's something going on, guys.
Their Dr. Trout's boss, who kept calling him the wrong name, is kind of... he seems inept too. So he doesn't really do anything, he's just yelling at him to get things done.
And then he also crashes his car later. But yeah, all in all, Trout, though is very horrible at his job, he is at least amusing for the sake of the movie itself. Also, I might add that some of the side characters, like Trout's partner seems to be probably the most level-headed cop out of all of them, and actually tries to get something accomplished during the film. He fails to do so like everyone else, but at least he's trying. there's also the little characters, like the guy who made the amulets for Dr. Fives.
Oh, dear me, you've broken it.
What's that?
It really is incredible, the amount of vandalism that there is around these days. I mean, I make something like this. I think of
Some of the other minor actors, there's not much to really say about them, but they are good for the few scenes that they are needed for, and a few decent jokes here and there could be said about some of the side characters.
What's it? Well, it's Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, yes. It's a new thing on the market. It keeps out drafts.
The cinematography is actually pretty nice. They do some very nice angles. There's some really good camera movements. It's 1970s, so they were starting to work a lot with that at this point. Again, the outfits can get pretty out there, but they're still relatively fun and still not so out there that it's completely clashing with the film. There's also quite a bit of music in this film, to be honest. There's at least a good 6 or 8 songs. Only 2 of them, I think, have any kind of singing at all. But the music seems to be mostly around when the villains are. Because there's like always music playing in Dr. Fives' little ballroom area where he focuses most of his time on the film when he's not after somebody. There's even little dance numbers with him and his silent partner, and a few nice little scenes here and there. But overall, it's kind of almost musical-esque without being a forceful musical down your throat. So other than that, last feelings about the film.
Well, it was pretty good for an old movie. There were some things that may or may not make sense.
Yeah, the whole bat thing.
The whole catapult one.
Oh, the catapult. Yeah, some of the deaths can get really silly. There's the fruit bats that attack the first victim that we actually get to see. But then there's also some of the really silly stuff, like the catapulted brass unicorn that comes apparently across the entire London street into a building and hammers a doctor into a fake wall, to which they have to literally unscrew him from the wall. Other than that, I would say this is a pretty fun romp. It's a really good film. I think it's like a PG horror film, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very rare to find a PG horror film that actually kind of works. It's a very silly film, more often than not, and purposely so. But when it wants to, it'll get downright serious and grim on your ass, too. It's a very fun movie, and it's Vincent Price also particularly having lots of fun, which is why he very eagerly wanted to go on to the second and the third movie, which sadly never happened. But he left us 2 very good films, and we'll be back here next week for the second film. He's just the female. She's just the female assistant. I'll edit that.